Good morning everyone, welcome to my channel. So today I'd like to do a background or get started on another snippet for my snippet journal inspired by Jennifer Clouston. But Fudge has arrived. He's been sitting here for about 10 minutes getting a full, face scrub and pat and, cuddle. And he hasn't gone yet. He usually just does it for a little bit and then, moves on. But he's been a bit sooky. So we'll just give him a minute and then, annoy him a little and he'll soon disappear. But I don't know, Fudgy, this is not like you. Come on, Fudge. I want to do some stitching. You're interfering with my planned activities. Come on, let's push Fudgy off. Come on, scoop him up. Oh, Fudgy bee. Oh, Fudgy, give him a quick cuddle. Charge the soul. Give him a kiss. Off you go, Fudge. Okay. All right. Now, where were we? Where's my little thingamajigger gone? I don't know. I've got such a mess here. But I have everything I need for my video in the way of journal requirements. So I might just unpin that because they were some morsels we put there last time we were in the journal, and we need a base. It's my little caddy, my little scissors out. Might just go up a little bit. I feel like I'm right up in your business there. Now I just need to snip these out. Remember when we made the journal, I suggested that you prepare all of your bases, the calico, and if you were gifting this to someone for Christmas, just pop a little stitch in them all to hold them on the pages so that whoever received the little gift knew sort of what to do with it. So I just want to take it out and let's begin. We've got so many pages. It's going to be so much fun. We've got this little one into position and we've got a suggestion. Maybe one day we'll rework this piece that was pre-done for inside, but at the moment I'm happy with going on to here. Now I'm just going to put the journal to one side so that I can still see this because it is a complimentary page. So I sort of don't want to drift too far away from this so that it's sort of when you open the book you get that, oh, that's nice, instead of, oh goodness, we are jumping all over the place here. It's not a bad thing if your pages do go from, say, yellow to, I don't know, where's a complete purple? That's fine because the whole book would probably be that way. That's what I want to do. I just want to grab out all my little snippety bits that I've been popping in here because this will help me keep the uniformed colour palette because I've pre-packed lots of bits and pieces. So that's the plan. And I'm hoping there's something there that will inspire me. And I also grabbed these two pieces. They're the first things that come under my hand because I didn't think I had enough of these little morsels to give a little bit of texture. So I want to add that to my pack. Okay, now what are we going to do? We need to think about backgrounds, don't we? Let's get a background in there. Well, I've got a edge, so let's take advantage of that. I like that. That was a bit too easy. What's this? I don't mind that, but it's a little bit too regimental. What's that? Just some spare calico. Got some of this camphor quilt. Is that something we want to do? I don't think so. I just glanced back to my book and that is very jarring. So no, we'll do blue another day. I still think I need to stay in the greens. I've got a bit of this quilt This is some quilt I picked up early in the gathering my supplies, thinking about doing YouTube video world. And I thought, when am I ever going to use this? But then I turned it over and this has just been beautiful to work with because it's got the hand quilting from whoever made the quilt on the back. So I've literally been using the back. I might... will that come off? No, not without ruining the front. That's okay. I might be able to trim it back enough that you just don't see any of the colour peeking through. We don't want the blue or the red to pop up. So I just trim that a bit. We might lay a piece of this down. It'd be nice to use this. I sort of feel like if we put down some backgrounds and then slowly build up some texture with the laces, we might have something. Now Fudge is bellowing to say, why can't we go and sit in the sun in the lounge room? That would be a good idea. He's going to come back in the room. Geez, clingy today. Must be something going on. We had a bit of a run-in yesterday with a snake. I don't think he was involved. I certainly didn't see him at the time that I noticed the snake. But I was sitting on the phone actually, chatting to Susanna, and we were stitching, and my husband was sitting beside me doing some work on the laptop, and I don't know, something made me look sideways, and I saw this bloomin' probably 3 foot red belly black snake, so very black with a hint of red on his tummy. So he's only a juvenile, because when they get older, Fudgy, they get really red, like this red. But you could only really see a little bit of the red. So yeah, that was a pleasant surprise. And he was glistening black, like really glistening. He looked like, I don't want to say it, but he looked beautiful. But we won't say that because, you know, snakes are snakes. Yeah, so that was a pleasant little notice that I took of the garden, to see him trundling through. I wonder if I bring that down. It's quite a heavy piece, but I do sort of like it, like it's a stump. So yeah, that caused a bit of a ruckus, as we had to get ourselves a snake catcher to remove him and send him off on his way. But they're up there in the most deadly. They're not in Australia. I think they're like, I looked it up. I think it was like number 13. But in the world, I read through the list of the top 43, and he hadn't appeared in that. I do remember being told that they're very shy. They're not like some of the other ones we have here that will, you know, have a go. They're shy little fellows. And he definitely, once he saw us, he was like, holy Moses, I need to get out of here. So, but he was sort of cornered. We've got like a courtyard at the front of the house, surrounded by a retainer wall that sort of holds a garden bed and then potentially the footpath. And we go up a deck to get to the front. So he got in on that grass and he had nowhere to go. So it was pretty easy to keep him in a tuft of grass in the corner until we could get him dealt with. So that was a bit of excitement. I don't think Fudge was involved in that, but you never know. fudge is allowed during the day outside, but not at night. So you never know if they bump into animals and then get sick of looking at them, playing with them and move on, but I don't know. But it was a bit scary, as in worrying about my animals and cats and Bandit and Pepper. Like it's a bit of a worry. It's just been so summery hot and the snakes are on the move. And the worry is he was a little fella, so where's Mum and Dad? I'm sure they're around somewhere. And I think they're ones that come out in quite a brood. I know Dad on the farm, he actually mentioned, he's been saying it nearly every phone call that he's bumping into a lot of snakes. He's got a creek. Oh, that's another thing I have to tell you about. This was funny. He's got a creek that runs through the property that's fairly deep, which I've mentioned before, but it is drying up. So he said there's just a lot of animals passing through. Listen to that fudge. Passing through because the creek is, coming to the end of its usefulness for them all. But a week or so ago, we were up at the farm and I was inside with Dad doing some paperwork, and Gaz was sitting out on the back patio, and he hears this click, 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 click. And he looks to his side and here's a huge goanna walking towards him. So Gaz is like frozen. Gaz is a city boy. He's not a farm kid. So he's just frozen. I think I'm going to take that down a little bit in height. So soften it with this one. Oh no, that's better. Do I want less of it? Just don't know if I want to use it all. But I really love if I cut that, I'm going to lose the floral. Hello, darling, Pussy. So anyway, Pussy, we've got a goanna story on the go. Just be quiet for a moment. So, yeah, Gaz is like, shoo, go away, Mr. Goanna. And, of course, Mr. Goanna's gone, oh, my goodness, what is that? That's a human. I don't want to be part of that. So, yeah. He, next minute he appeared at the bedroom door. There was a goanna. We're like, what? Couldn't have been. Don't see goannas on the back patio. He said, it's in the shed. So, yeah. It was quite amusing. So we all went looking for said goanna, but in the time that Gaz came wailing into the house, he didn't. He was very brave, actually. He's got a lot better. When we were first dating, and I'd take him back up to the farm. I'm sure you guys know my personality by now. You can imagine the mischief I got up to in scaring the living daylights out of a city boy on the farm. Yeah. I was a bit naughty. It was fun, but I'm trying to get, I don't know what I'm trying to do here. I'm trying to get this wave thing happening. Just as a bit of interest. That's better. It's just, there's another snippet. It's just about having something interesting to look at. I don't know, and I always put more on than I probably need because I like it to feel lush. I sort of feel like that's the wrong colour. I like that. We've got these little bits of the sari silk. And maybe we can stitch a few of those on. So I do apologise if I've already told you the goanna story, but I don't think I have. I forgot all about that. I think I'm just going to have that softness peek through there. That'd be a bit of fun. I think putting it on the very bottom is a bit obvious. Let's pin that down. I want to do a background that is just all camphor quilted as well, boro stitched. So I might set that one up as well, and then it'll give me a little bit of homework to get them all stitched down into position. If there's one that doesn't have a base like I'm doing here, you know, a ground, then I can do something a little bit more coming from angles into the page, like you know, like you're underneath a vine of something, like underneath a canopy. That sort of feel, like this sampler I did with Jennifer in her classes, where each corner contributed to the piece. Well, I could pick a corner and then come down. Instead of having this growing out of the ground business, I want some different ones. Yeah, that's going to be good if I squinch that all into there. And then get that stitch down with some invisible stitch, or even some running stitch. So I'm thinking it'll be really densely built up here. Let me zoom in again so you can see a bit closer. This will be really textural here and built up. Might even put another piece of that through. Just to bring some more texture in. Can't help myself. I love how, like, that was a little gift bag that had the rabbit on it that someone gave me. I think my cousin gave me that. She found it in an op shop. And it is just the most glorious fabric. It frays really easy, the fabric, and it's just beautiful to play with when you're wanting bits and bobs straggly. There we go. Love it. Okay. I think that's, I like that colour being neutral because it's giving, I guess, a bit of a breath to the page when I've got so much happening on the one before. So let's just pop it in the book and see if there's anything else we could do. Yeah, that's good. Let me zoom out because you can't see anything. There we go. There we go. The only other thing I would do is maybe look at putting a few little patches of fabric just to tie it in. Let's have a look at this little rosy piece. Little pop of something. We could make a tab for the page. That'll help set the colour palette too. Yeah, let's do that. Let's make a tab so you turn the page over with that on it. Oh, I like that. Okay. And that will in turn be a bit of a colour palette. So to do that, I'm just going to pop it on a bit of fabric because it's very smushy. Is there something? Yep, something in the bin. Here's a piece of felt. And that'll just give it a bit of support for me to stitch into. So you've got a couple options. You could stitch it straight onto the piece. You could pre-stitch the element, which I think I will do. There we go. So it's now got a bit of substance to it by popping that little bit of felt there. Let's get... How are we for height? My page has got a little bit taller. Yep, that's okay. That still will work. Let's get... So yeah, back to the goanna. We never did see where he ended up. He just disappeared. But he went into an open double garage where Dad parks the car and bits and pieces are in there. So there was plenty of spots for him to hide. There we go. And then that will be the little pop of colour. That'll help tie it back to that page. Now, let's do some stitching to create this little tab. Now, I could have done it, you know, double and folded it like that, which I could still do. Or I leave it like this for now, and when the next page is built, I then put a piece of fabric here that matches the embroidery, which I prefer to do, because what if the next page is all blues? Well then, where's my needle gone? I had both of them sitting here. You know, then I've got the freedom to put a blue piece of fabric on the back of that little one. And I could top stitch it like I'm doing now, and then use invisible stitch to join the two together. So if you're wondering if she goes and stitches through this and then wants to put a blue piece of fabric here at another day, how will that work? Well, what I'd do is I'd create this again and then put them together back to back, and then do some invisible stitch just to join them, is how I do it. Makes for a nice solid tab in your fingers then, when you've got that bit of fabric between them. Feels nice and lush. So I'm very much for putting felt and some interfacing, or just something in between surfaces to give you that nice solid feel. I don't like it when it's all flimsy and floppy. It's probably because I'm a bit heavy-handed, so I like to feel that it's solid beneath my fingers, I would say. Having this pink popping here will be good, because then I could play with some of the burgundy pinky ribbons that I've got. I haven't had a chance to do much with them. That'll look good. And the book's getting very feminine. It's supposed to be a botanist. I know, it was a lady botanist, Edith Holden. It was her journal. That's a better backstory. Gosh, imagine if Edith Holden had have not only sketched nature, but stitched it as well. Could you imagine what those pieces would be worth today? Oh my goodness. I really love her work. I think she was very clever. Such a sad ending to her life, to drown in a river while trying to sketch something, whatever it was that she hopped down into the water's edge to sketch. Oh, so sad. She was young too. Didn't get to enjoy the real fruits of her endeavours. It's always the way, isn't it? These artists, they pass away and then they become famous. But while they're alive, they often live as paupers. It's encouraging for all of us, isn't it? Oh, this body of work we're all making, all these Roxy creations, all this stitching we're all doing. There'll be this movement in the future. In 100 years' time, someone will find someone's work and then they'll tie it together with all of us, and there'll be this huge movement, the Roxy stitching movement that happened. How funny. But none of us will be ever noted for our work, our dedication to our craft. It'll all end up in the Wissonian, how do they say that word? It'll all end up in a museum, or Sotheby's, that's where it'll go. It'll all go to Sotheby's auction house, and some super uber rich textile collector will go, wow, look at the body of work from these hundreds and hundreds of ladies who were sitting and stitching. Then they'll probably find this video of mine where I'm joking about our future, and they'll go, that's a great idea. Let's send it all to Sotheby's and make some money out of it, because it is a body of work. It is a piece of history. These women have toiled. Someone did ask me, what are you going to do with it all? I'm like, I don't know, just sits in the cupboard, I guess, for someone else to deal with. I really feel like that's tall. See how high I've gone over the... I just want to check again. Yeah, it's okay. The page... Yeah, it's okay. So let it go. It's all good. That will then stitch onto there. Beautiful. Right, so let's get a bit of invisible stitch down to hold all these goodies in place. And then the background be pretty much ready to do some stitching on. Don't know what I'm going to stitch yet. Probably be another dead tree, something along those lines. Get a bit of a structure up, or a crazy looking plant. Okay. It's just about getting enough stitches in all these little bits here to at least hold them down so they don't fray and fall to bits. I think I put glue on that edge. Yeah, I did. So that's not going to come apart. That will, if I don't stitch that little piece down. Oh, it feels so good just to sit and stitch. It's been very busy. And I just felt like stitching, and I thought, if there's anything I'm going to do, it'll be a snippet. Exactly Jennifer's concept to this. Just 15 minutes or an hour or two of just stitching. Even it's just laying a background down, doesn't matter. It's just, it'll become something one day. It's just taking the time to sit here, catch up with you guys, and stitch. It's nothing better. There we go. Get that tucked in there. It feels like it's nearly grass. I love all the texture you can create with little scrappy bits. If you're doing a ground like this, just sort of keep that line, that lineal line, and then just start breaking it down into smaller zones. So it's like you've got tufts of grass, somewhere where a black snake would hide, a tuft of grass. If my husband had have whippersnippered, like he was planning to, there wouldn't have been that tuft of grass for that bloomin' snake to hide in. So there does, come in handy not fully completing the mowing job. I was worried about snakes a little bit. I was actually more worried about ticks. It's tick season at the moment, October through to March. And it's the nasty paralysis tick, which is not good for doggies with a lot of fur. So they're on a treatment program which gives them some protection, and they also, during that time, I pop a tick collar on them as well, just as an extra precaution. A few years back, a little white dog in the street got bitten by a tick, and it didn't kill him, but gee, he was very sick, and they paid a lot of money to save his life. So the last thing I want is that for my pair. So they had their medicine, and my husband mowed to keep the grass down. Not that, they're still going to get in, they're going to get in. Jump onto a dog's fur, but if there's tufts of grass that dogs are running through, well, there's, a high likelihood then that they'll be sitting on a tuft of grass, and then as the dog walks through, it'll brush onto their fur. So, but he didn't get to whippersnipper and cut down all the stuff in around the retainer wall edges and things like that. But that was good. The snake was able to get in there, feel a little safer, and sort of slow down the whole, oh my goodness, there's a snake in the yard routine. Everyone could breathe a little bit and work out what we were going to do. Okay, just going to pull that down a little. So it doesn't take long to stitch down your bits and pieces. I was going back through some of Jennifer's videos, and she was doing some feather stitch. She just explains it so well. Very clever chook. She's such a natural teacher. I like how she used the term unfortunate when you're doing feather stitch. Sometimes it can look very unfortunate. And I didn't click at first when I watched it. And I thought, what do you mean by unfortunate? And then as she demonstrated the stitch and the precise way that she does it, and she used the word again, and I was like, oh, that's a teacher politely telling a student that the feather stitch that you've just created looks bloody terrible. So I was giggling away because she used it then a couple times, unfortunate. So I thought, I wonder what I would say to the student if I was showing them feather stitch. I think I'd probably say, oh, that feather stitch looks bloody terrible. Where Jennifer, she's a lady and she's encouraging. Gee, that looks puckered there. What's going on? Let's get rid of all these pins. I like these little applique pins now. I didn't when I first got them. I think I was struggling with my fingers to pull them all out, and I actually enjoy using them now because they are small and they're not taking up a lot of space on my work. That's better. It's just a little puckered there, but that's settled down. So I need some more. So applique pins, if you're looking for the little itty bitty pins I'm using. They're pretty good, especially for this type of work when you're working in such a small little space. Now I'm going to work along the top of that lace, but I'm not going to stitch down the very top edge of it because I sort of want it flitting around in the breeze there a little, provide a little bit of movement and texture. Isn't that the word for the year? Makes us sound like artists when we say we're adding texture. We sound like we're professionals, don't we? We use these words. The piece wants to stay down, so we'll let it stay down. I won't force it up. We'll break the line. I'll have to grab out one of Jennifer's books and have a little look and see if there's a stitch there we can spot, or a composition of some flowers to give us some inspiration. Now I'm just doing a few stitches. Oops, lost my thread. Doing a couple little stitches across that ridge of the wadding. Love how it's got the wadding there peeking out as well. It's adding texture. I hope it doesn't look too unfortunate, my piece. I can feel Jennifer giggling about now. Down this side, that feels really good. Feels nice and secure. Got a bit hanging off the bottom here. I'm not going to worry about it, just leave it. It gives it texture, all right? Some of these threads poking up in the air, I like those. They sort of come from somewhere. I might scoot my needle over to them and put a stitch into them. And that'll just make sure they stay up because I like them. Looks like some dead grass. That one's just not quite right, so I'll pull the thread out, putting it together. Tucking it in there. Whoops. So what are you guys up to today? I've got to go to work. I've got some stock sitting at Slacks Creek that needs to be taken across to Virginia. So we're going for a drive today to do that. Say hello to everyone. Catch up with the staff. Haven't seen them for a few days. Plus every day there's someone new on because we're getting busy now, so our roster is really increased. And some of them, they come back every year. So it'll be good to see who's working. Catch up. I'm running out of thread. Don't unthread. Just give me one more stitch. Then I might get some groceries on the way home. And that'll be it. Before I know it, the day will be done. Hopefully I get some stitching done this afternoon. Would be nice. There we go. That feels pretty good. So more thread as we work our way up. Might do some running stitch on the top bit, but not the entire thing. Just do some random, and that'll help hold it all down. I still will do invisible stitch. Did I do along there? No, I haven't. Oh, come on. Are you guys stitching? Are you going to get time for stitching, or are you busy? Are you having your coffee and you're getting ready to race out the door? Or you got a day where you can just relax and stitch? I'd love a day like that. I really feel like a day like that. But yeah, no. Got a couple chores to do. It's all good. Something to look forward to. It's nice knowing that the stitching is waiting for me when I do have chores to do. It's like I'll get in, get it all done, and I know what's waiting for me is a project. It's sort of, yeah, I like it. It's like it spurs me on. Get those jobs done. So, you know, eat all your vegetables and then you can eat your lollies, that type of thing. That's how my brain processes tasks. Just get in, get it done, knuckle down, and then you can have some fun. Self-motivating, that's what I am. I've always been like that. Even as a kid, Dad, if we get this job done, can we go fishing down the creek? Can we go to town? And, you know, just there always had to be something to look forward to. And often it was a no, we've got to work. But in a kid's head, it's worth asking because you never know. I've got a pin there. Have I not stitched through there? Yeah, I have. I might just do the last of the thread through there. Well, that's good. We've used those two little bits that were pinned to the top of this page from doing the first section of the book. There we go. Really happy with that. It feels very much secure. So I get rid of that little guy before he bites me. Probably could put a couple more stitches down there. I'll catch that when I come back to it. Let's just do a quick whip around. A riveting viewing, me prepping a background. It's got to be done. In the next video, I would say, we'll have a little play. We'll see how we go for time. We still have a little bit of time. Oh, we won't get time. I want to do some stitching on the background here. There's all these lineal lines from the fabric. This is Japanese fabric. It's just beautiful. It's been popping up in my work for a while. There's been a nice scrap of it on my table. But this is the last of it, so I'll have to go and revisit the Japanese fabrics, cut off a few chunks and just throw them in my fabric bin so that it's around replenish some of these neutrals. Just whip around the perimeter. It was the perfect size, this piece of fabric. I wonder if I'd cut it for there and didn't use it, or is it just worked out just right. Now, gone around the outside, I'm just going to go on the diagonal straight through there to the opposite corner. I only have so much thread left, so we're trying to maximize what it can do for me. A couple little itty bitty stitches up to there. Okay. Let's go from this corner now to the opposite side, and I feel like we've got it down. I can hear my husband's jumped in the shower, so he is not far away from appearing at my door, which is awesome. I managed to get this little sneaky hour of stitching in. There we go. That is not going anywhere. So let's have a look at getting a little bit of texture up here. Or do we no, we will see there is a consideration that you're going to be bumping into embroidery, but I'm not going to let it worry me. I'm just going to lay it down, because often then you forget about it and you start your next layer of stitching. I'll just come out, see there, and I'm just going to run some little stitches back to the edge, stack the needle in and out, just so that you keep it, your stitch line relatively straight. Yeah, it's fine enough. It's not going to intrude on the embroidery, and it's just to put a little extra something. It just looks like a plain piece of fabric. Doesn't even have a quilted sort of look about it, like the bottom is all lumpy and bumpy and textured. We could even put another piece of lace on it, something fine, so it's not too. So I've just done 3 rows there, so I might just jump up to here and we'll scoot across a little bit more away from the edge. Try not to think about it too much, just lay it down like the fabric below has been repaired and there's some mending. There we go. You could even do a bit of seed stitch, just tiny little stitches. Just blending it into the background, but I wouldn't do a colour. That would probably fight back against whatever you were stitching. I just keep it. Can you see the little stitches? Like barely. See, before I started, I thought, oh, they might be obvious, like these here, these little stitches. They may have interfered a little bit with the imagery, but because there's lines already on it, the cotton is very subtle cream. I don't feel like I've sort of hemmed myself into a blocky looking colour. I think it'll look good. It'll just be there. The more you look, the more you see. I sort of had that feel for my embroidery. Very little details into it. Okay. Let's do a little bit more. So what I'll do once I get this background interesting and finished, I'll grab one of Jennifer's books and have a bit of a flick through and see if there's something there that catches my eye, just so that I keep the style of my little journal in Jennifer's style, because she's the inspiration for this project. I wonder if I could find a little bit of lace. Sort of feel like it needs softening up at the top here. I know we've got the tab there. I feel like it needs just a little morsel of something there, just to soften it somewhere. Maybe I do go that way. It does make me stitch then a certain colour scheme on the other side. Maybe I do that as the tab, because now the lace has become long. Yeah, I like that. I'll keep it all long. It just needed a little extra something. I'll stitch. Got sidetracked there. I think what did it is I glanced up to my previous panel and see this bit of lace here, just this little bit. That's what did it. I guess too, by having a little bit of a cluster there and doing that now, where that piece, remember I'd already started the actual stitchery in Jennifer's class, so I was now trying to add in things that look like they'd been there since day dot, working with the design. So I was sort of going in reverse. I was highlighting the piece a little more. So this time, by doing something now up in this corner and the base, I now know where I can take my flower, if I'm going to have the flower chase that corner or come away from the corner. I've got some options now because my background is in position. Okay, I'm just going to end this off. I think that's enough running stitch up there. Okay, I'm gonna, shocking. I'm going to stitch that all down, that there. I'm really happy with it. Get that into position with some invisible stitch. So invisible, it barely caught that. Oh no, it did. Must be because it's got the felt, it's like the stitch can bury down into it, but it feels really good. Okay. Just peeking out. It's a shame to cover all that beautiful lace, but I sort of think it looks better just as a little bit sticking out. Just going to go back down right on the edge of our little panel. That way we know that it's secure. There we go. Now I might just remove that and I'm going to sneak out to that lace. I don't want to totally pin it down with thread, but I do want to know that it's secure and not going to get damaged. Why is there blue there? Oh, it's a thread. Just pop a few little itty bitty stitches through this lace. Oh gosh, look at the time. There's just not enough time. It's all good. I've had my little stitching session. I feel good. I'm ready to go and load a van now with stock, drive it across town, unload the van, have a yibby yabba to everyone, say g'day, annoy them. They'll be wanting to get back to work and I'll be there chat. Got to get some puppy food and some pussycat food on the way home, and that's the day done. Days go too quick, don't they? And I'd say I'll get time for a video tomorrow, so I might film the next stage of this straight away, so that way I can just keep playing with it and not have to put it down. In the meantime, I'll grab, like I said, one of Jennifer's books and have a bit of a flip through it and see if there's something there that inspires me, sends me off down a rabbit hole. Just sneaking back down. I got a bit of thread left, so I'm just, that tab is not coming off. I like the fact that I can see the felt a little bit too. It's sort of matching into the fact that I can see this wadding underneath that piece. It sort of all feels like it's connected, and that piece is quilted, so this piece being quilted, it all works. Okay. All right, there we go. Well, I better go. I can hear my husband walking down the hallway now, so bit of toast, bit of coffee, and we'll hit the road. So I'm ready now to do my stitching on my background. So let's just pop it in the little book in our journal. Everything's sitting skew whiff until you start building up all the fabrics. Everything's sort of It's just swishing to that one side. So that's really good. That's going to look great. Oh, how yummy. I love it. It's like full on, and then we can take a breath. But knowing me, it'll be full on once we stitch it. I like how these fabrics are cross-pollinating. I've sort of got a bit of a peekaboo happening here. Yeah, really good. I'm going to need to find some form of flower or something, or do we keep it stick-like? Probably not stick-like. Okay, something to think about. All right, guys, have a lovely day. Look after yourselves, and I will see you all in the next video. Bye.